Welcome to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, your number one home for all things Bison basketball. One. My name is Chip Washington, your self-appointed Bison basketball fanatic.
What's up, family? It's your boy Brian B. Smooth, lover of all things Howard, and still the lover of all things basketball. And man, we got a show for y'all tonight. E, it's good to see you, baby. What's going on?
Well, my name is E. Wash, and I am manifesting a paradigm shift of calm and zen today.
That's a lot different. That's a lot different than the pre-production notes. Your passive aggression was on level 10. We know the NBA finals are on. You don't have to remind us, bro.
But that's okay.
Chip, before we digress some more, why do we do this, man? Why do we do this?
Bison Nation, even in the off season, we encourage you. We do this because we want you to support the Bison basketball team, support the Dream Factory, support the championship culture. You can do that in so many ways. You can donate to the collective, the Mecca Society, at the meccasociety.org. You can also donate to the athletics department at hubison.com and through the Bison Express Booster Club. And with today's interview, we're going to give you yet another way to support the Howard basketball teams. And as always, we want to remind everybody, continue to support the podcast. Yeah. You can do that in so many ways. You can hear us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and you can interact with us on Instagram at Bison Brothers Basketball. So tell everybody to share this podcast. Hit the like button. You're listening right now. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss anything from the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, as we are trying to educate and entertain Bison Nation so that we can continue to grow. So that is why we do it.
I love it. You always give me hype, bro. And you said something in there that was a bit of a tease, right? So you said there's another way we're going to be able to help our fans support Howard basketball.
Yes.
Do tell. What do you have in store for our fans tonight?
So Bison Nation knows, right? This is the off season. So we've been doing kind of an autopsy on the season. We've talked to coaches. We've got insight from the coaches, but Bison Nation has been pestering us. Tell us some more about this NIL landscape. Right. Tell us, give us some more information so that we can know how to better support the program. And so today's interview is with the outstanding company called FanStake's. And I'm just going to read a little bit about FanStake's from their webpage. First of all, this is why I like them. They are a passionate group of fans and former players, just like we're passionate about Howard basketball. So they're a passionate group of fans obsessed with college sports. They want to make the sports better, more fair for the athletes, more engaging for the fans, and more sustainable for the future of the teams that we love. They built FanStake's because they believe that there's a path where everyone can win. And we're excited to bring to the stage, we have the one and only Mr. Ben Steinberg from FanStake's. And so as we bring Ben to the stage, we're going to bring him in the Bison love fashion, give him a little showtime as if he was in the bird. Welcome, everybody, Mr. Ben Steinberg.
Hey, let's give us something.
Appreciate the warm welcome.
Yes.
That's at home with the Bison.
Hey, back in the burr. Hey.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Ben? Welcome, man. Thank you for giving us some of your time here and helping to educate and inspire Bison Nation to support our basketball teams. And so we just want to really, really give you kudos for coming on and sharing with us so that we all can learn how your company can help Bison Nation grow to be, as you said in the pre-production, the best basketball team in the NCAA. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate being here. I'm telling everybody I'm the newest Howard Bison fan. And I learned that lately, you know, when we partner with the collective, I start looking at the roster, the team, I'm DMing the players, and you know, you get a little attached, and I'll definitely be rooting for the boys, the guys and gals this upcoming fall. Yeah, it's been cool. So, I mean, we partnered with the Mecca Society, which is the collective on behalf of Howard, and we partnered with them maybe a couple weeks or so ago. We launched, and what we do through this partnership is we are able to get the word out about FanStake to as many Howard fans as possible. And I'll take a half a step back and explain, you know, what is FanStake, right?
Yeah, please.
So FanStake, we launched about 6 months ago, and what we are is a platform for fans to show direct support to their teams and players. So I think and we love partnering with the collectives, and we're just giving another option and avenue for fans. So the story somewhat goes, I gave 10 grand to my alma mater, Virginia, and this is a fake story.
Okay. Because if that's a fake story, I need to ask you for a loan after this. But that's
money to throw around. But there are real donors that we've talked to, and they're giving $100K to the University of Minnesota, and they're saying, hey, where does that, to the collective for basketball, right? And they're saying, hey, where does that money go? And they don't hear back for a year. And when they do hear back, they're hearing back from the university that's saying, hey, do you have any more money? So what we're doing is a more transparent solution that is risk-free for fans. And that's the unique element where it differs from alternative avenues for donations or pledging support. So with our platform, you can it's a grassroots platform. We're trying to engage the everyday fan, the average Joe that wants to just get involved and show their support. And you can put $20 on Cooper Flagg to go to Howard. Wouldn't that be something, right?
That would be something.
That would be something. So you get everybody at Howard saying, hey, we want Cooper to not go to the NBA and come to Howard. So everyone puts in $20 times 10,000 fans. You know, you do the math. And all of a sudden, you can get to a considerable amount through just grassroots fundraising. Now, with someone like Cooper Flagg, right? Cooper says, no, I'm going to go be the #1 pick in the NBA. All the fans get their money back. And that's the risk-free aspect of what we're building at the FanStake, where you either get your player on your team or you get your money back. So it's a safer way to, stake that player to your team. And that's both a verb, a stake. I'm putting money on Be Smooth to come to Virginia. And if you don't, I staked you to Virginia. If you don't, I get my money back. But it's not just the verb of like, I'm placing a stake. It's also, we're using more as a noun, as now I have a stake in my team. That's something our CEO said a lot, and I'm trying to regurgitate.
I like that. That's a nice play on words there, Ben. You get a gold star for that one.
I appreciate
that. I like that.
So yeah, we're trying and we're early, and that's where like I say we're at chapter 0 of right now. You can go onto FanStake, you can pledge your support for a specific player to like right now we're at a weird part in the season. The roster is somewhat set, right? So you can stake to show support to someone like Bryce Harris. I believe that's his name, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Bryce. Friend of the program.
Bryce could have went to somewhere else, right? He had options, and he said, "No, I'm going to come back to Howard and what we started here." And that's someone where like you can, show love and reward the loyalty. And then the season's going to start. And as the season matriculates, it's going to be people are already thinking about the season for next year. Who's going to leave? Who's a transfer candidate? who's using, the school as a jumping pad that maybe they came from D2, etc. And those are the players where we're going to try and engage with the Howard community and say, hey, this is the guy to make sure they don't transfer. And, as a marketer at FanStake, I can create content and only do so much, but that's why I love talking with the fans where it's like, who do you guys care about,
Right.
Because the amount of teams I'm being a fan of is starting to explode.
Okay. So I guess from it's probably more of a internal fan state question, but it sounds like a no-brainer from us, the fan standpoint. Like how do, if giving the money back to the fans, how's that sustainable for?
So that's we hope that the fans keep the money in the platform and give it to a different player, or their team funds, where the team funds get allocated to about everyone on the roster at different distributions, and that's up to that's why we're partnering with the collective on that front. But yeah, we're hopeful that okay, you don't get Cooper Flagg, great. Who do we want to go get now? And right now, I will say that's why I like to say we're at chapter 0 of just starting, because we really are so early in the grand scheme of things, where you can go on, you can place a stake. When you place a stake, you earn rewards, right? You reward points that you can use for more stake credit or gift cards. The future version of what we're going to build is you can get a chance or enough points to then get a signed basketball from a player that we have an NIL deal with. So we're at the early start of building this flywheel where if there's, a couple $1,000s staked on an individual player, in order for them to receive those funds, they don't just get them. They sign an NIL deal with our company, FanStake. And that's how we're able to pay these players. Or basically be the conduit for fans to support the players. So that's kind of that's where the sustainability comes. Is we hope that when we give the money back to players, it ultimately matriculates into a deal.
Gotcha.
So following through with that one, Ben, just we're business guys too. We just happen to have fun on this podcast. So the way it breaks down then is that you guys just get a little cut of the donation and the rest of it goes to the player. How does that work?
Yeah. So right now we're planning for this first cycle to take a flat 5% from these deals, and then which compared to a lot of other platforms is definitely on the low side. We're trying to build like a real, the most direct way to support an individual. So that's where some of the revenue comes in, and then we are planning from a business model standpoint to unlock a lot with brand deals. When we have fans on the platform and we have players accepting NIL deals for funds for those fans, there are going to be brands that are going to want to work with these players and sub-license their NIL that we'll have rights to, as well as stake players to be in front of all the fans that are going back to FanStake. And this is where I'll be honest, super honest, more honest than I may be allowed to be.
Yeah,
we don't right now have fans coming back to FanStake. So we have a lot of fans that come on and they either use a credit or put their own money up to show support, and then they leave. They feel like they gave support. They're maybe monitoring a little bit. We're posting about it on social. We're getting good engagement on social, but what we're planning to build is reasons for fans to come back. So think games. And then take that game you're thinking of and make it really fun and addictive, and something that action fans can do, that they can basically play to earn rewards and earn rewards both for themselves through prizes like a signed basketball or a signed jersey or something like that, or a game day experience that the Mecca Society allows for, and they can do the half court shot or one of those fun games. We're trying to build unique experiences for the fans. That's ultimately who this whole thing's for, and the players. But we're trying to build unique experiences for the fans so that they keep coming back. And if they keep coming back, we think that we'll be able to get lots of brands involved, both local, the car wash outside Howard, as well as the larger brands.
I like that.
Okay.
So I'm definitely seeing a kind of a symbiotic relationship because we're trying to get fans to come back to the podcast over and over and learn more about the program, get the fans engaged. So I see kind of an ongoing partnership with FanStake, you know, like you said,
Well,
throughout the season.
I hope that there's enough. I hope that we're able to build enough activity on the platform such that, like, as anyone covering it, it's like, oh, holy shit, did you see that this guy's stakes went up, or what happened this day? Oh, they talked about it in this news article or whatever. But we're hoping like that momentum. And right now, Howard has been very much pushing the team stake. So most of the money on FanStake right now is going to be, you know, distributed across. But I think as the season starts and players start putting up numbers and fans start developing those storylines, that it doesn't matter if you're 12 or 22 or 52 or 72, it's a story, right? And you're going to develop connections and personal connections with the different players. And I think that's where you'll see, like, he might not be the best, but I like how he plays. Or it's funny. I saw I was down at NACTA, it's an athletic director conference in Orlando last week, and I'm walking out and I run into Kyle O'Quinn, who played at Norfolk State and on the Knicks. I'm a huge Knicks fan.
Yeah, you are.
That's the guy who, like, if I'm at Norfolk State, you're not going to the NBA. I'm staking you to stay here. You upset Missouri as a 15 seed, like,
yeah,
that's where. So there is like a seasonality to this business when it comes to fans and passion that is undeniable, especially when you get into the transfer portal and things like that. But definitely how we're positioned and how we're positioned with our partnership with the Mecca Society is to really support player retention and keeping guys at Howard. And that's where coaches have a better chance. They're developing talent versus the, hey, let's go get this kid from high school. But that's also an option on FanStake. It's really up to the fans and how they're going to unite together and mobilize. They could say, hey, there's a hometown kid that we want to keep, you know. He lives down the block and he's thinking about going to Duke. Why not keep him at Howard? I think, like, there's a lot of models of success of people who are, you know, go from the smaller schools, especially in basketball. Like, even if it's like Launching Ground, who's Dalton Connect, right? Before he went to the, I don't even know. He played somewhere in South Dakota or something for 4 years. So I think we're in a stage now where you're even seeing it, and this is a little crazy, but you're seeing it with the NBA. Like, we got the finals on right now, and I have it recorded. I'm going to watch it with no commercials.
Sure.
And you see these teams, it's less of like this one superstar, right? These teams, like the Pacers, are a deep team. And I think, like, you see the competition is starting to level out right now in college. And I think you're gonna have kids that are gonna want to stay. They should want to stay out of Howard, and maybe they do a 5th year at one of these big SEC schools as a grad transfer, or maybe they try and make, you know, not to be like corny about it, but try and make history and like build their brand beyond just like the supermax contract that they think they might be able to get. Like Cooper Flagg's an anomaly because he's going to be a number 1 pick, but at the same time, with the amount of cash he would be able to bring in and also like what he could do for his personal brand with another year of Duke, there's really no telling of like, would he be better off delaying his whatever $800 supermax? I have a funny feeling the salary cap in the NBA is not going to go down. There's injury risk and things like that. You can put yourself in somebody else's shoes, but
well, you know, I'm sorry to interrupt, man. It sounds like FanStake, you know, is going to be good for basketball.
Oh, tagline.
FanStake's going to be good for basketball, man. You know, as I was listening to you, man, and one of the questions that I had already kind of floating around in my mind when I start, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be like you and be Catholic and make a confession. I didn't take a real deep dive. I just kind of skimmed over what FanStake was about, and I instantly opened an account, you know. And then I said to myself, wow, man, this seems like something for the underdog. And I think the underdog is what makes March Madness attractive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's what makes people, just like even though this is not basketball, you kind of look at what's going on with Shedeur Sanders. It's more people interested in that, and could be sustainable than the number one pick. You know, and especially if you're creating access for it. You what you all seem to be doing is creating access for people, man, and that's, I think, what's gonna make it sustainable.
Access for fans and opportunity for athletes. And is every athlete going to put themselves out there? Like, probably not. We hope so. We want to show them why they should and where the value is. But we have a partnership with Montana State and, FCS school, but the top dog in the FCS, one of them, they raised for $65,000, and between $4,000 and $5,000 are staked on a lineman. And I just was like looking him up, trying to get more information. It wasn't necessarily all of the fans. This lineman was hustling. His mom was posting about it on Facebook. So they were really taking advantage of the friends, family, and the early stage of FanStake, which is something that I think fans should mobilize on with a bit of urgency, because Montana State, they hit the cap on their coupon code from the partnership structure that we set up with their collective in a couple days. And this is where I think it's part due to seasonality. But right now with Howard, we are giving every Howard basketball fan a free $25 to give back to the program. All they have to do is sign up. Yep, you got it. All they got to do is sign up. And so we're making these graphics, and we have them, for the team and for the players, and we're doing some fun reels that we had. And it's been great to partner with the actual Howard basketball official account on social posts. And what we're trying to do is just get that word out to everybody, because everyone has 5 friends who might not be on social media, but might want to support the hometown team. And I think this is where we begin. And that's why we're doing like an awesome offer like this to kind of get things going. And we get the users and the fans in the door, pressing buttons on our website. But this is something that I think, and I hope fans take advantage of, because $25 to an individual, I get the feeling, I get the glass half empty feeling of $25. What's that going to do? It's really 25 times 1,000. 1,000 fans is not that much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5,000 fans, when you kind of, so we're trying to figure out both tactics to like have somebody, maybe I would love to work with an ambassador on campus at Howard and have them be the FanStake point person and put on an event.
Okay.
But
So
the things that we're starting to do,
you already beat me to the gun again, because I start saying to myself, man, who would be the best point person? Would it be a coach? Would it be a sports information director? You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're busy. The thing is they're busy, and there's a lot. That was probably the biggest learning that I had from NACDA, even getting away from FanStake, is these athletic directors have a lot on their plate and a lot more than they've ever had. There are some staff, and I don't know the particulars at Howard, but you got to think there are some staff for 20 years. It's been the same. And now there's a house settlement and there's a salary cap, and their workload changes. And people are navigating that super differently. And in terms of like understanding the information from the NCAA, they do a house settlement. The first thing everybody's waiting around is, we're going to get the FAQs, because everyone has a zillion questions. And what if I do it this way? And where are my loopholes? What if I don't report my deal through NIL Go? And it's like, we don't know what the recourse is going to be, but we think there's going to be recourse. And that was like a big theme. And you have compliance and then everyone has their incentives, right? Like you have compliance directors that are like, don't take any sketchy deals or pass everything through, or don't do anything risk. Like they're very risk adverse. Then you have agents that are getting a cut of every deal. So they're pushing deals, right? And we're trying to be like very transparent and agnostic. You have so many shady agents in this world right now. We're looking to just be as transparent as we can be with, here's the money in the platform. That is an active offer for you.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Chip.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, because I think we're talking around it. And again, this is for fans that may not be as close to how the game has changed, right, with NIL. Just wondering, based on how you guys have approached your model and your pitch, what would you say are some of the biggest myths about NIL that people should understand or maybe debunk so they can get on board? So I know that's the part that when we're talking about NIL, that feels like funny money. and everybody has a hard time understanding. So how does this really work? So what are some of the myths that you guys are having to bust as part of getting everybody on board with FanStake?
I think you guys will find this a good one. I think with NIL, everyone's talking about the money and who's getting the bag, and I think there are situations where the money, the difference between the money is so large, you'd be silly not to. But I think on the flip side, the myth about NIL is that I would debunk is it's not all about money. I think everyone thinks it's all about money, and that gets a lot of the buzz and the clicks, but it's not. You have countless and countless and countless stories that I hear directly from athletic departments of players that are willing to take less, up to 50% less dollars for a given year to prioritize one, continuity, player development, the culture that they bought into. When we were talking with Montana State off the record, it was something along the lines to go to like a Nebraska for $400K, and they're trying to scrounge up 70 to 80 to try and keep him. And that was something that was like, being seriously considered. It might even still be. I don't remember the specific play, but I think you have a lot. Like, money is one factor, and it's a really important one. And depending on the student and their personal situation, that variable can matter a lot more. But I think you're seeing a lot of players saying, if my current school can get up to a certain point where I'm not worried about my meals, I'm covering my apartment, and I think I'm going to get the development that I need to get to the next level, they're willing to stay. And it's playing time as well, and opportunity. So I think it's a lot. I think I love the mobility. I think the mobility is great. Okay. Am I going to watch a Virginia? You can kind of see I have a Virginia magazine right here. Am I going to watch Virginia with a completely new coach and a completely new roster and not know anyone? And it's going to be really different compared to like the typical Virginia team that has a lot of continuity, for sure. And as a fan, like, that kind of could be off-putting of like, okay, it's a new team. But what I love about it is everyone that left Virginia is going to get a better opportunity for themselves at their specific stage of their career. And everyone that's coming to Virginia, they're ready to play Virginia basketball. It creates a kind of a freshness and excitement of when players are just doing what they're able to do best. I think it's a good thing for players to want to get on the court and have the best opportunity. And now, will there be multi-year contracts and things like that? Sure. I think like schools and players are both going to be incentivized by longer-term deals. And I don't know all the legal aspects to that, but I could certainly see that. But I think, I think it's not always about the money. That's something that, it's very personal, these decisions, and there's so many factors. And we're talking to parents at times, because just as part of the whole process of building FanStake and getting back, we partnered with Nate Ammon. He was a top 5 player, ESPN ranked high school player going into this upcoming college class. And this was like our big splash campaign. He had about $85K plus staked on him to go to Louisville. He had $60K staked on him to go to Kentucky. He had, then it was $13K. It was maybe 4th place school. Oh, Duke probably had $25K. Then he had about $13K to go to Tennessee. And you start to look at the fans' names, and we're going to build ability to comment and things like that. But right now, it's just the fans can create their name. And people were going, Nate, if you see this, go to the volunteer. It's like people are having a lot of fun with it. And I think like that's one thing about FanStake that's going to be inherent in our culture is like, is that direct connection. And athletes love seeing that direct fan support. While you can support the team at large, if you're not sure, you're a more casual fan, or just like, hey, I'm an alumni, but I didn't watch any basketball and I majored in biology, but go team.
Right.
Your team stakes, but also, the people that are watching the stats, like you could really support your favorite guys.
Love that.
Well, I'll say this, man. I think you not only are you coming along at a perfect time. One of the things that I was kind of trying to research for this show, but I didn't get very far, was to figure out how ESPN is assessing the efficacy of their streaming, right? And basically what I sort of found out was they don't really make that available, right? But then they take the fact that they know if they lump all the streaming together, then they can go to an advertiser and say, oh, and by the way, this is a boost in our live ratings. And I just thought to myself, wow, that's a different way to spin that. And it's a boots on the ground type of operation. And it really isn't that different to me than what you're promoting now. And I just feel like, yes, there's a difference between the casual fan, as you were suggesting, and somebody that's kind of hardcore and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I think it makes it easier for the casual fan to engage in this way.
1,000%. And that's like, after 5 years of NIL, now there's going to be a salary cap. Most universities aren't going to be able to pay the 20 and a half out. So now it's just the competition's on to just find alternative sources of fundraising. Mm-hmm. And a lot of schools early on in the NIL it's the biggest alumni, and that's giving big checks. But over time, you have donor fatigue, and what they're trying to do is tap into new people. And what we're trying to do is not just give an avenue to just give money away, right? We want you to be able to support your team when the outcome that you want to happen happens, only in those cases. But I think what we're building will be really exciting for the fall of different games and interactive ways for fans to come back to the platform with, imagine an ad from a Howard basketball player and they slam dunk the ball and we play for you. Now it's your turn to play for us, right? Mm-hmm. All you have to do is go on, you play the game, you set your lineup, and you earn points, and those points convert to dollars that you can then dish out to your team. And that's a very future state that we're currently in like the early stage of designing it out and figuring it out. But we're trying to build a place for fans to go for like their hub, from stats and news to ways to show support and build rivalry. Who would you say is Howard's biggest rival?
That is a very good debated question.
It's like, like all the HBCUs are rivals with each other, but I'm curious if there's one that stands out.
Brian, I'll let you go first.
For the purposes of this show, there are approximately two major foes that we have. We have in conference, the MEAC, Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. It's Norfolk State. They tend to really be, they're the arch nemesis when it comes to our basketball, men and women. That's usually who we have to go through to get to the ring, right? To get to the championship.
And before you finish with Norfolk and Ben, since you brought up Kyle O'Quinn, I want you to know that I gave him the business, even though we ended up losing, but I was harassing big time on social media at the MEAC tournament. So,
you were.
Yeah, I believe it.
He walked up next to Kyle and said, "I'm gonna type some things."
Yes, that is definitely a dude you're looking up to.
Right. And then Ben, because of their desire to be like us, Hampton University, formerly Hampton Institute, they want to be the real HU, and so we tend to play a classic with the names because it's good for business. Like when you get two storied HBCUs to go against each other, I would say those are the two big rivalries. Coming in a close third is Morehouse, because Morehouse has figured out how to be relevant in sports when they come play Howard. So it's we have a couple of marquee matchups that we always look forward to.
And so I asked because what we're trying to, or we're planning to build, and these are all things that are on the roadmap, and like getting opinions from the fans, the diehard fans that are running a podcast on it is so valuable for us right now. Where we're trying, we may build things where there's $1,000 in the pot. If Howard fans win, they get that money. If they lose, it goes to their rival. And we're learning. We saw this when we worked with Nate Ament, where we had Kentucky Sports Radio do a blurb about Nate promoting it, and all the Louisville fans started using their KSR code.
Wow.
And created this entire social media like beef where people were pissed at us. Kentucky fans were like, "How are you letting them use our code?" We're like, "It's just a code. It works for everybody. We just want fans on FanStake's." I
love that.
I'm a Virginia fan. I don't care about Louisville or Kentucky beyond that much, but it's fun. And then sometimes you get into like the deep side of Twitter and you're like, all right, I need to go for a walk.
Yeah.
But you think the rivalry component is going to be really fun as a way to
Agree.
Get your rival on we want, of course, your rival on FanStake, but we also want you guys on FanStake, kind of hashing it out. Who's going to get the most points in the game or the most accurate pick 'em, or have the right strategy, and so that's been a fun one to sort of figure out. And I think it's funny. I think college basketball used to be a lot of 4-year guys, especially at the smaller schools, and there still will be. Like you're going to have things on all sides of the coin. But I remember at Virginia, it was Malcolm Brogdon against Marcus Page every year, battle. And now I think the bigger rivalry that as a fan you're going to be looking forward to, and I don't know if it's on schedule, probably not, but if you had Creighton coming into Howard to play a game, that's what we saw in the tournament of when Jeremy Roach on Baylor is playing against Duke, I believe.
Oh, that's crazy.
You have the matchups of, they left, and now we're playing them again. You have the Georgetown coach Ed Cooley going back to Providence, and you're going to have Harper coming back to Howard, or you guys match up. Yeah. That's where I think you're going to get a lot more of the the fan rivalries of the traders. And I know when Kristaps Porzingis on the Celtics is coming into New York, he's getting some booze from me.
Always. I love that.
Yeah. So I get now from and you use the word seasonality, and because I'm trying to kind of picture, is there a better time or a moment to kind of focus more on stakes? Like you said, because the off season is really no longer the off season because there's so many things going on, with the transfer portal and
rosters,
this, that, and the other. So is it better to just kind of keep like an even keel throughout the year and encourage?
I'm in marketing for us, so I'm going to be pushing it always. I think the change is going to be on like the fan adoption, how fans react, and what's top of mind for fans. So we're trying to get ahead on like education and explaining the platform rather than pushing like specific stakes. Whereas during the time of the transfer portal, hey, this guy's still undecided. Here's the 3 schools, and we're tagging different like fan pages, podcasts, social media accounts for those respective schools to try and get in front of their fans. But yeah, I think like right now the rosters are set, and then they'll be playing. And I think between the time that they're playing and the transfer portal opening, the closer you get to the transfer portal, the more there's going to be rumors, the more you're going to want to get ahead of rumors. FanStake could be the biggest rumor starter ever. You put $5,000 stake on somebody, you go to Howard, maybe he'll transfer here. And then, maybe he sees it in the news articles and he's, maybe I will transfer there. So I think it'll be across the season, depending on, really who's playing well and what fans are vocal in terms of mobilizing their peers and their friends and their, on campus. And that's where you get people back on campus this fall, and we're still giving away these $25. It's not just each individual fan. It's like what fan is kind of orchestrating and leading the charge and saying, well, let's go get a center, not a point guard. And that's where you see like what FanStake is, what I describe it as is we need fans to spark that snowball effect and that momentum versus 100 fans with $25 on 100 different players versus rather have half that and they're all focused on one player and really getting on this player's radar. And that's where the best part is. If he doesn't choose you, you get all your money back, full refund.
Wow, it's very tempting. I like that.
Yeah, it's like a prediction market almost. It's not quite gambling, but it is like I'm gonna make a prediction, and in that process, this is where I think is a very slept on part. In that process of you could put $5,000 on Cooper Flagg to go to Howard, and if it doesn't convert, you're still earning points that you can use for more state credits to support your team, or for right now, you have a gift card option. Buy yourself something nice on Amazon. But we're providing a lot of incentives to just make this as friendly as possible for fans to get involved, given we're asking them to support, the sports program. And there's a lot of things that people can do with their money, and a lot of people want to support and create that relationship that they have with the school. I got that Virginia magazine for a reason. It doesn't show up randomly,
You're right.
Someone's either asking for money or rewarding some subscription I might have. Like a reminder to check and figure out how much I'm paying these guys for it. Reminder to cancel. Jeez. I got rid of all my players. I'm salty. That's like the fun part of being a fan. I think we're all like at FanStake's, everyone that works here is just such a fan of the game, where it's like I play like the role of the customer a lot, where I'm like, you guys want my money? Like, what do I get? And that's where the conversation starts. Where wait, I can get on the court where I have a 1 in 500 chance. Okay, I'm in. We're launching on the 1st of July. We're going to be doing sweepstakes. So I don't know when this will come out, but if it's live, we're going to be doing a sweepstakes where every stake that you place will be an entry into the sweepstakes for paid stakes. So beyond the coupon amount, it could be $1. You do $26 instead of $25, and you'll get entered into a sweepstakes to win 2 tickets to any college sports game in the country of your choice, up to $599, which I don't know much pricing outside of New York, but I have a feeling $599 for 2 tickets, you're going to be sitting pretty nice. Build these types of incentives for fans to keep in touch with their team and support and have fun, and then hopefully they support an athlete that accepts his deal. We have a guy on Middle Tennessee State, Parker Hughes, $2,000 staked on him. And what's nice is he's gonna he'll accept the deal. He'll post about FanStake as part of our NIL deal, and then he's gonna send all the fans a nice thank you video. And I think that is, for a lot of people, it's not necessarily a personalized cameo, but it builds that direct relationship of, I don't know, maybe they miss a free throw at the end of the game and you're, all right, he's a nice guy at least. I don't know. Still a good guy. They're just kids,
Well, hey, I got a question. What drew you to basketball, and what is it about being a fan of basketball that you think brought you to where you are with FanStake?
I'll be honest. First, I went for player before I went to fan, and I wasn't that great of a player, so I figured I'd be a little bit of a better. So just I think it's I think it's kind of where you grow up. If I grew up on a farm in Nebraska, I might not be into hoops, but grew up in New York playing basketball, watching the Knicks. Now St. John's has been super fun. And I went down to Virginia for college, and my grandpa and my uncle also went to Virginia. I don't know how the basketball team went. My grandpa was there, but when my uncle was there, they had Ralph Sampson. So,
oh wow, okay, yeah,
he had Ralph Sampson, and then he left. The team got really bad, and then by the time I went to school, we were kind of back. So that was always just a real fun, family thing of me and my uncle went out to Minnesota for the Final Four, and it was like, that's the best weekend ever.
Okay.
Because you don't get there all the time, and especially being a New York sports fan, it's nice to have one winning team.
Right. Okay.
And I think with FanStake, it's like, listen, I think football, there's a lot more players and rosters, and there's more avenues for support. And there's some diehard football fans, and there's some diehard basketball fans, and some overlap, and some people that like their respective sports. But I know with basketball, I think there's more of a comfortability with the dollars. I just think I think the NBA, people are a little bit more comfortable seeing like the numbers fly of like the high contract amounts. And I think are just more hip to you're paying for your team. They're hip to the Caliparis at Kentucky of the world, and just how the system of the sports work relative to some of the other sports where I saw the girl in softball for Texas Tech to go from, I think, Stanford to Texas Tech, got paid over $1 million. And I think when Nate, I think Nate Amen, it was like 1 point something to go to Tennessee, reported. And that I remember hearing, and I was like, oh, I thought he was going to do more. That's was so expected, because he's such a talent, and that's where the market's been set. We're starting to see the market get set in some of the other sports, which I think is really interesting. I think is a huge opportunity for a lot of schools. Like, you could be the best volleyball team, or I don't know. Like, I look at a school like Maryland that's trying to really push on football, and you lose a basketball coach because of it. Like, is that where we want to be? Are we ever going to get to the playoff and be competitive against some of these SEC teams, or should we just double down and be the best freaking golf team in the country? It's not golf, but I think going to school in Virginia, I see it from a little bit of a different lens, because Virginia is like one of the like premier Olympic sports schools. It's like Virginia, Stanford we're winning in whatever, tennis and water polo. And was I going to all the games as a student? No, but I do think like there are people that love to go. I went to all the lacrosse games. There are people. The bleachers were packed for the tennis games. I think like there are also going to be opportunities over time to work with on FanStake different rosters, because the Rutgers wrestling community isn't the same as the Rutgers basketball community, and I think there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of these sports programs are going to say, wait, we have a guy donating $3,000 a year to basketball. How do we get him to like wrestling? Should we show him wrestling, or show him that there's stuff that exists, etc.? And FanStake is going to be a way to get on their radar.
At what point, since you mentioned this before, at what point could you approach a high school player to stake them?
Right now on FanStake, there's about, I want to say 300. It could be closer to 500 high school players listed on FanStake.
Wow.
So yeah, this is all, we just take kind of publicly available data, and we use that to create like their profile, and they're able to claim their profile, edit it. It gives them when athletes claim the profile, they can share it out and give different like incentives to fans to stake them. And that's, we'll build different social templates for them over time. Right now it's me and Canva making stuff for them. But yeah, right now high school athletes are listed, and that's why we did a deal with Nate, because it was more of the recruitment approach. And I think over time we've learned that there's going to be probably more legs to this business and retention. I think 70% of NIL funds are for retention of players, and 30% is like more on the recruitment side. But yeah, right now high school players totally available.
But if there's no NIL structure for high schools, how does that money get adjudicated?
Sorry, not to. So you can stake a high school athlete to commit to your college.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No, but I see what you're saying. I have had parents say, my kid will transfer. How much? How much is he going to get? And I think there's a lot of. I don't know actually the specifics on the legal. I think the House might have changed it where high school students can now get paid for NIL, maybe, or certain. I know state laws. I think Wisconsin high school students can get paid, so I think it's actually state law supersedes all else. But I mean, that's where I think there's duffel bags of cash. There has to be, and that's what people talk about. Where it's like, people like schools, universities, institutions, they're either going to find ways to legally get over the cap, and that's going to be FanStake. And if the scrutiny from the NCAA on whether it's us or other entities is too harsh, they're going to find a way to pay these players, because they were doing it 20 years ago, and
right. Yeah,
you're not stopping this train at this point of the momentum. There's too many jobs on the line, and people with families that have meaningful things to lose if they're not winning games. So, they're going to do whatever they can. And that's what we hope they feel. So they, want to find ways to learn more about FanStake.
So I have a related question, and it goes with the way that I signed up. So I signed up, I used my Mecca 25 code, and I staked some money on a player to hopefully come to Howard. But then, I wanted to maybe retain one of the women's players, but I didn't see the women's roster, that I could pick somebody from the women's team. So I guess, how does someone get on FanStake? I kind of heard that it sounds like you create profiles, but like, how does that all work? Because like I said, I was ready to kind of give some more money to maybe stake, $25 on Now Miller, our great power forward on the women's
She
team.
is. Shout out.
Stay, but I didn't see her name. I could stake to the entire
Oh.
women's team, but I couldn't stake specifically to her, at least a couple of days ago.
So right now, there's like kind of different webs of pages. You could look at just Howard, right, and it'll list all the different players across the various teams: football, women's, men's basketball, that are already staked. Then you can click into the specific sport. So, am I able to share my screen on this? Because I could just I don't know if I will be.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll send you the link. But if you go to the women's basketball page, you can scroll down and you can see the projected roster for this upcoming season. Because that's the thing, is whether the likelihood is 0 or 100, there's still chances of changes. So right now it's projected roster. And then once those rosters are confirmed when the season starts, that's when our deals with the athletes go through. It's like, okay, it's confirmed you're on the team. They'll post and the deals will go through. So if you look at the 2025-2026 projected roster, it shows you a list of the players, and then it's just looking for the right person. So you might have been looking at a different page. What was her name?
Now Miller.
Yeah, now Miller right here.
Okay.
Junior with consistent scoring and rebounding.
Okay.
Versatile forward.
There you go.
Average 5.4 and 5 rebounds last season. 46.
$9.
Yeah, so and like the idea is you stake here. I'll send you the link. You stake her, and I think like that's where it's like $25 isn't move. It's tough, right? So it's like, you can either tell more people about the Mecca 25 code to say, hey, join me. And I think that's where it's like, I think you have a lot of fans that are looking for people to tell them where to stake. And FanStake can do it from our perspective, but I think when it comes from folks like yourself leading the charge, the fans will follow. And that's the whole idea of the people who are of the most influence and have impressions and make content and are diehard fans, or there's all these different fan pages for all the different teams on Twitter. It's like Illini recruiting. I'm DMing with these people, and it's a 19-year-old sometimes, and they're like, "What up, bro? Bet?" And I'm like, "All right, let's do a deal. Here's, and that's the army that I think we'll be looking to build out. So if you guys, have any students in your network that you think could be good fits, I'd love to talk with them. We're at the early stage starting to build this out, but definitely want to make sure that we have someone knocking on every single dorm and going to the clubs and fraternities and saying, hey guys, here's a free $25. And then guess what? That $25 is exhausted because there's a cap on all of this stuff, right? We can't have unlimited money to give to Howard basketball. But then we've seen, we saw this with Montana State, where it's 25, code 25, 20, then it's 200, then it's 300. People just want to get involved, and then people will go over the top, because if the player doesn't come back, it's like I'm either supporting a guy I really am fond of on the team, and it goes to right into his pocket, and you earn stuff in the process. What would be a good reward for Howard? What jumps to your guys' mind? Like as a fan of like what should we try and talk to them about? I think signed memorabilia from players always has like people like that stuff, but would it
honestly merch? At this stage of the game, I would say merch more than anything.
Merch, okay. What's up with the stadium? They call it the Mecca. That's correct? Is that where the Mecca is?
The Burr, where we play basketballs. The Burr. I would say, in talking with some recent students, both my daughters graduated from Howard. So, thank you. That's why I have money to put on FanStake now. But what I was told is that if somebody came in trying to kind of build up the fan base, partnering with the things that people want to do on campus. So we have several weeks of activity. Howard Homecoming is something, Ben, you gotta experience that if you haven't done that yet, and it'll change your life. But at the same time, they have similar activities in the spring. So tying opportunities for people to get access to those events that are part of campus are actually surefire ways to get them plugged in, because they want to get the whole experience. Filling up the seats is cool, but
even like
being able to
that are premier and like, make fans feel special for the level of support that they're giving, and whether it be a contest or competition, or I remember when I was at school as a student, I was in a student media club. And they gave me one game, I think it was Virginia versus Duke football, and they let me in the locker room. I remember, like, kind of similar to what I'm doing now. All right, I'll try something new, first time doing something, and I just stood there like this with my cell phone, just as if I was recording something. Like, and I would just stand there, and like I didn't have any questions for me. It was my first time just in that media setting, but like that's something as a fan where like I'll walk in the locker room at the end of a game, or you do a meet and greet, or whatever it is, and there are all ways that these players are not only like capitalizing on their NIL, but I actually believe building their NIL and brand. You don't just become like, you have to earn, I think, the reputation that you have as a player, both on and off the court. Like you saw it with Shea before Game 5. I think they said he signed like 500 pieces of merch before a finals game. Like, and he's the MVP. So if the MVP during a finals game is doing that, I think there's going to be opportunity for players to do that. And it's going to be not like this soul sucking, I'm just doing these autographs and
right.
I think it's actually going to be more of like a positive community focused uplift thing where it's going to lead to more opportunities for them.
Well, I tell you, man, you really have my head spinning, and I'm kind of thinking about my dad in this moment, in the sense of he had this saying, it's a poor frog that don't praise his own pond, right? and that is a segue.
Yeah, I have the same reaction as you, V, on that one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm like, I don't know where this is going, but
say that to people for sure.
You gotta wait for the reaction. You gotta wait for the reaction.
So I just came back from Montgomery, Alabama, and I have my son is going to be a junior in the fall, and he's the starting left tackle on his high school football team. And this is his second camp. We did Tuskegee about 2 weeks ago, and then the finale is going to be Howard's camp in July, right?
Sure. Okay.
And I just started thinking to myself, man, you already touched on, in essence, how a player could be his own advocate through FanStake, right? Just sort of being around this environment, I kind of ended up having a relationship with the coach at Alabama State University, right? And I'm kind of thinking to myself, hey, man, a lot of people can bite off of this apple if you get the right person, like you said, interacting with your with the site,
It's almost like would it matter to you, or do you think it would matter to your son when it came to an NIL deal, or any player, if it's 10 grand, that's what we're 30 grand, that's what we can give you for the year to come play football at our school, that's the NIL offer. Do you think it would matter if it was one donor that's funding the 30 grand, or if it was
I can't see where that would matter. I can't see where it would matter at all. And since you mentioned jobs, I got another son that's actually on the coaching staff at Tuskegee already. He's just a freshman, right?
Oh yeah, your other son has to go there then.
but what I'm getting at though is, it just being familiar with not only the nomenclature of all the stuff that you're talking about, but pitching it to them in such a way that, hey, this is how you can be an advocate for yourself. It just seems like it's so many different directions it could go in. And because, when they're young and in this environment, that is the time to maximize those relationships. You know what I mean?
1000%. And it has to be like, it has to just be one of these things where it's like get started. Like the athlete, like, listen, not every athlete wants to be an influencer, but every athlete will benefit from doing some things that influencers do.
And so my question to you is, what if we could kind of organize a Zoom call where you could explain this to maybe 50 or 75 athletes? Like,
I love that.
Hey, this is how you should be approaching this.
Yeah, I love that. I'd hit some KPIs.
that's what kind of keeps kind of buzzing around in my mind. Even because like my oldest son, man, he had a teammate who was on Indiana's football team, and the kids been in my house, and they always coming by and this that. Next thing I know, we laying up, and the same kids on the video game, and then my son is telling me, "Oh yeah, well here's how much he got for NIL, and here he is on this." And he got him a chain because they still had some kind of. I was like, man, this is you really know all these people, man. So
Crazy.
I just think that sort of now's the time to strike while the iron is hot. You know what I mean?
And podcast plug alert, you could have them listen to this episode. And
that's definitely on the menu. And so yeah, man, I think that's really an action item I want to manifest.
I'd love that, and I think like what I'd leave with is like if you're like when it comes to FanStake, if you're an athlete, this is a no-brainer avenue to come claim your profile. Engage with us on social media, claim your profile, and it's an avenue for you to share links out to your family, friends, etc., with strong incentives.
Exactly. I mean, I can't think of one of these kids that doesn't have at least 1,000 followers.
1,000 followers. If you think about like that $25 coupon that we have in a couple different avenues, 25 times 40 is $1,000.
It is
$1,000. If I'm in college, I'm taking $1,000. I know 40 people, especially if you're like in college now. It's like they got these giant group chats with 60 plus people. I talked to somebody, and this is something I want to get into with the fraternities. One of these fraternity guys at Duke was building an app. It was kind of just like shit in the bed, and he had all of the pledges of the fraternity give it 5 stars. Now he has 400 5-star reviews. So we're at this stage where it's $5, $20. It's this contingent donation. Or in the future where it's just playing a game, we're making it easy for the fans to get involved. Like that should be the easiest avenue and hopefully really fun. And then for the athletes, it should be such a no-brainer of it's a couple buttons where we'll make graphics for you, etc. And share it out. We had a guy, Kobe Claiborne. I'll give him a shout out and then I'll send him. Kobe Claiborne at South Dakota State football. He drove almost $1,000 in stakes for himself, which I imagine relative to his NIL deal, like it's money that no one's turning their nose up at. And so he raised $900 something for himself. And I messaged him. I said, Kobe, how'd you do this? I didn't even see that you posted. He said he was looked at his followers and was messaging fans directly. And was just saying, hey, here's a way to get involved and support, no credit card down, etc., no risk. And, that's real money for himself. And not everyone is willing to go out there, especially at 17, 18, 19 years old, where you're putting yourself out there and you're messaging people and looking for support and advocating for yourself. And I think we're seeing, the tide change there. And that's why Parker Hughes is $2,000 because he wasn't that shy. And I kind of put it like, remember when LeBron went to Miami and everyone's like, oh, he's lame. And then a couple days later, they're like, well, nobody likes to see him make his own decisions. And it kind of turned like that way. I think that's what we're going to see with a lot of like players advocating for themselves, where it's like, yeah, I'm here to play as best as I can and make the best opportunity for myself. And while I'm here, I'm going to try and also maximize my earning opportunity, which is a short 4 years. Most of these players aren't going pro.
Right.
It's
okay.
So this money after 4 years, or where am I going to put this money? Like, what the hell am I supposed to do with all this money if I'm not going pro? Or if you're not going pro, or maybe you're going to play in like a Euro league, you have some years, but you're going to wind up being 30 something with a job, hopefully, or your own entrepreneurial activities. So it's such a good earning window for athletes that I would encourage every single person not to wait till your senior year and to really get ahead of it.
I love that. Love that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Brian, did you I think you had a kind of a call to action.
Well, Ben's been giving it to us all day here, and the part we were trying to make sure, Ben, that we could be super clear about, just one more time for the fans, is if someone's listening to this podcast and in the moment they listen to it and they get to this part, right, what exactly should they do right now?
You want to go to fanstake.com and sign up for an account. Search for Howard and search for Howard men's basketball.
Okay.
And you can select either a player or scroll and select the team fund. Press stake and just enter in the coupon code slot Mecca 25, and that'll give you a free $25 credit to get involved with FanStake and show some support to Howard. No credit card required. We've had a lot of people that put more money on top of it, which has been great. So there's definitely room to show as much support as any fan would be willing to. And then, stay tuned to see the athletes post about us and wait till next season. And, let's make sure that, any of these players that we like, stay with the team and don't go play for Creighton. But, of course, respect to Blake Harper. Great program. Creighton's a rival. I'm a St. John's fan, so it's a little – he joined my rival.
That was cold, Ben. That was cold. It's still too soon. Still too soon. Still too soon. Now, I don't know if you said it earlier, Ben. I'm sorry, but when we do these $25 opportunities or codes, there's a cap. So what's our target to hit the cap for Howard? Like, what's the number that allows us to know we've maximized it?
I don't know the specifics because I believe we were trying to carve out some for like now and then when the season started.
Got it.
I'm looking now. Let's see what we're at. I believe it's in the. We have room. We have room. That's where
I know we have. We definitely have room, and
definitely have some room for a couple of thousand new fans to get on board. Right now it's 6,500, and I would imagine it's significant room to grow.
Yeah,
which is exciting. I'm a Howard fan, and I hear this, and I'm like, dude, you're not on FanStake. Like, why?
Yeah,
you're almost hurting the program if you're not doing it.
I like the way you pitched it for us, Ben, and. I offer a similar epiphany to my dear friend E. Wash over here. We have to take it to the streets, right? We have to be the ones to say, hey, come join us. I know we're all signing up and making sure that we're doing it. I think half my family signed up already as well.
I'm trying to find the areas where all the folks are, whether it's in Reddit or like a rivals.com forum or wherever, the most fans are, but that's where it's like the real you guys know. I'm sure there's Facebook groups and there's different, I remember when I got to the dorm in college, we had a Facebook group with all the different freshmen that were incoming so we could find our roommate. It was like a roommate matching thing. Like if I could get into that Facebook group and post, hey, everybody, that's where it's going to be. And for FanStake to work, it's going to be grassroots. It's going to be bottom up.
Love that.
Yeah,
which is, I think, like, it really does give power into the hands of a real free market, and then anyone who wants to, help support their team that doesn't have, Phil Knight money.
And kind of trying not to get too political here, but the other analogy that I thought about was, it seemed like one of the things that allowed Barack Obama to stand out compared to other candidates was small donors, not large donors. You know what I mean? And it just kind of keeps making me think of what you're doing here. It just makes it a lot more accessible to people, and that should be lowering the threshold in my mind.
1,000%. I think the old threshold before a platform like this existed, if you tried to donate $2,000 to Michigan State, good luck. There's not many avenues to do it. And
right.
Like they don't have the they're focused on the real big donors. So we're just trying to provide that avenue for just people to get involved. And when we launched it, we're like, well, maybe no one will want to get involved, or maybe it'll be this giant rush of, oh my gosh, we've never been able to do this, and it's it's kind of somewhere in between. And it's buying us some runway to just continue to talk to fans and get some data back and just figure out what we should build next.
I love it.
Yeah,
I got one. Well, I can't say one more, but I guess I'm channeling all of my inner fan here. because I know you mentioned, so say someone stakes right now for somebody to come to Howard. And when the season starts, he's on the team, so he gets the deal. Now, if they stake in December, $30, what's the time frame, or like what happens with that stake, or when what is the seasonality of say if you give a stake during the season, when does that
the player getting the money?
Either the player getting the money or not, or that money coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that
question No, I'm following. So like if it's game 1 and this guy goes and someone goes off, maybe it's I know Howard has a bunch of transfers. Didn't you guys get a transfer from Rutgers?
Last year we did.
Yeah, last year.
That was last year. All right.
Yeah.
But basically it'll be the player will get a contract. Like right now, it'll probably mirror like this season. So we'll have contracts go out probably by August, and then the payments and like we'll facilitate the post with the player by the start of the season. So they post at the start of the season while eyeballs are attentive, and he drives stakes for the following season for himself. He'll get those when he's confirmed on the roster at the start of the following season, because if it's early in the season, they can transfer, they can declare for the draft. There's so many different avenues. So it's once everything is confirmed and like finalized. But you can close. So if he declares for the draft 3 months after, we're not going to make you wait to the start of the season. You can close your stake and get your money back and put it on a different transfer as a fan.
Okay.
The player won't get the money until the beginning of the season when they're confirmed on the roster that they're staked for, and the fan, will be able to close their stake if the player does anything like transfers to another school or declares for the draft in a way that is like binding.
Okay. So all right, so start of the season is kind of that's one marker.
Yeah, the start of the season is when we know for like everything is confirmed and they're on this official roster.
Okay.
The week 0.
Got it. All right.
Yeah, it's like that's like part of the job of like the collectives have a billion questions and the information changes. We need a website for it. The athletes, we need a website for And fans are like, is this fantasy football and gambling? It's like no,
right.
Maybe we'll build a fantasy game, but not right now. So it's a lot. It's a lot to distill in like a kind of concise way, but that's.
Right.
When we're testing different messaging. I like the one I said to you guys. We play for you. Now it's your turn to play for us. I think that's.
I like that.
I think we'll for that in the fall.
Love
All
that.
right. And I'm a little slow on the uptake here. So you kind of went through the steps for what we should be doing as Howard alumni and supporters. If you're an athlete, what are the steps? You should be creating a profile.
Claiming your profile. You should go to FanStake's, search and claim your profile. And if you don't have a profile, just reach out to us and we can likely spin one up. But you're claiming your profile and then you're sharing your link, far and wide. And we're working with the Howard Collective and facilitating content to the players through their collective. But if you're a player at a different HBCU and you happen to be hearing this, you can come on to FanStake, claim your profile, and share with friends, family, etc. And there's a lot of value that can be created. And I'll be also honest, we're at such an early stage where if somebody DMs me on Instagram, I'm seeing it and I will make content for you. We can make a cool player highlight reel if you'll share it out. Like we want to do cool stuff with players,
Love that.
We're here to support, and we have an awesome editor on the team, and he's been crushing content. So yeah, like it's all ripe for it. But yeah, if you're a player, you can come claim your profile and put that link in your bio. Here, I'll say this: there was a kicker on BYU. I think it was BYU's kicker last season. They beat Utah in like a double overtime, maybe. I forget the specific game-winning field goal. This kicker had his Venmo in his Instagram bio by happenstance, supposedly. He got, I think, between 9 and 12 grand just Venmoed to him by fans. And that's where we're like, wait, that needs to be a FanStake link,
Right.
Because what if he transferred and all these BYU kids are like, dude, what? We just Venmoed you, man. What the hell? So that's where we're trying to build this like transparent solution beyond, Venmoing a guy, where it's going to be a real NIL deal. It's going to be fully compliant, and it'll go through NIL Go, and that's how players can really, get involved and make sure they're capitalizing when they're on the field and they kick that game-winning field goal or they hit the buzzer beater and they want to be with their family and not, on social media. It's great. Have it in your link in bio. People will see it and click it.
Okay. Now, does it matter if you're not at a D1 school?
Right now, FanStake only has D1 schools listed.
Okay.
But there is potential for us to work with a D2 program where we would just like upload their entire roster. It wouldn't have all like the rivalry and competitive aspects, but it's something that we're planning to do in the future. Actually, there's a lot of D2 schools that like were interested because everyone's fighting for money and everyone's being competitive, and the D2s are interesting because they're losing a lot of their talent now. They're like, wait,
they are.
It's like they're becoming this even more so than the past, this launch pad with the transfers. I would rather a D2 a lot of these ADs, I'd rather a D2 person who's mature versus, a kid from high school who might weigh $170 to be a development project. If I'm doing a development project, I don't want them for their year of development unless I get to keep them for their junior year,
Right.
A player and lose them. And that's why I'm really excited for Bryce Harris coming off the injury, because he has been with, I think, this coach for a while now. This coach is a guy. I think he won Coach of the Year or something like that, right?
He did.
So I think there's that's where I see the value of, we can get him close to what he could potentially get at another school. We're not saying that you can match, the big schools of the world, but you can get them close enough and have 30,000 fans that are all saying, hey, we love you. It's not one big donor writing a check that'll say, see you later.
Right.
You have this support. You want to start a brand after your time playing ball and you want to sell sweatbands or shirts or whatever. You have 30,000 people. I think there's more value there than the dollar amount. Although I totally sympathize where it's like, all right, 50 grand versus 10 grand, I'm taking the 50.
Right. Mm-hmm. This is good.
Take the money on sometimes. I get it. But there's also, am I going to get playing time, or am I going to be on the bench at Alabama, or am I going to be a starter with a lot of opportunity to, work on my skill set and get better? But I think it's one of the, these kids are going through really tough decisions, but I think like from a business lens, it's a great experience because it's real. It's not not an economics test at a university. It's, should I go for more money or better opportunity, or I don't know. Who do I go to for advice? It's like the art of figuring out who your real mentors are and things like that. But the parents have been loving it so far, and that's sort of like good. Like, we want to make you guys happy and feel trusted with this thing. That's also a big part of it.
Awesome.
This is awesome, man.
First podcast, so
yeah, this is great.
Definitely talk and go on for a while, but hopefully it wasn't.
No, we appreciate your passion, man. I know this is a topic that, as we said at the beginning of the show here, a lot of our casual fans and maybe those that are starting to get more involved, just understanding, how something like this would work. It actually does lower the bar for getting active, right? Because sometimes when you send a check to a university, you don't know where the money's going to go. So you think you're helping, but you don't know. And now you have a way to say down to the player, I can actually stake, some claim there and then see how it plays out. So I know I've learned a lot tonight. Ben, you've actually kept me from having to continue to use AI or Google to tell me what's going on. So now when you give me a call to action, like, hey, get you and 5 of your friends to sign up, that's kind of in my wheelhouse. I know I can get 5 people to do what I'm doing. It's just, I know how to, I could do it now.
Everyone has 5 people, and like that's where on FanStake, like we have like cool referral things. You can refer them directly on FanStake. You could just also say use the code Mecca25 because that could just be easier to share. But everyone, if you're a Howard fan watching this, go to our recent Instagram post with the Howard basketball team and tag 3 of your Instagram friends and just tag them on the post. It's one of these things where it takes 5 seconds to do it, and I think you'll see the appreciation from the players when they accept the deals.
Love that. That.
Hopefully win some games,
Hey, let's do something. We're trying to get back to the big dance.
Yeah.
Chip and I've had a vision of trying to see how much of a dent we'll have in our budget to get a helicopter to go back and forth between the tournament sites. So the guys will play Thursday, then we got to fly Friday to watch the ladies play, and then we go Saturday and then Sunday, and so we'll keep going until the money runs out.
Hey,
so
I hope the money runs out and you guys are going to a lot of games. You know,
to have both, but to have both of our teams in the big dance is the dream right now. We've seen it in part and parcel.
Yeah, Alabama State was fun this year, right?
Yeah,
that was one of the best games I ever watched. Like, it's just something. I mean, it's just that's what I think this is about, and like that's the championship. Not every team is going to go down the whole line, but like Alabama State fans, they're going to remember that forever. I mean, there was St. Francis, who I think it's changed. Like I think they might have cut a lot of their programs. It was St. Francis versus Central Connecticut before leading up to the Alabama State game. It was on around the same time. Play-in games, 2-16s. I never heard of either of them. They're playing in a high school gym, and these guys are going bonkers. And it's like, there's Central Connecticut fan. Yeah, there's a lot of them. And, they can make sure that their player doesn't transfer to another middle of the pack school and they can compete. Like, I think that's something as a fan. I got enough jerseys, you know?
Right.
Guess what? I have to keep cycling through jerseys because they all leave the team because we keep losing. Porzingis, I got the Obi Toppin, I got the Tim jersey. It's tough out here, man.
Yeah. Oh man, this has been great. This is
fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to meet you.
Absolutely, Ben.
And just build a friendship, right?
Well, we're excited to start this again. We're both in a bit of a chapter 0, trying to set the infrastructure up. And so I know as much as you guys are excited about finding the fans and getting them to activate and really just kind of helping the players do the same, we're all in it together. So I think that's what makes this a beautiful conversation, because
totally.
We know that winning will be people participating, money there, helping keep our players we want to keep and recruit players we want. That's really helping us really kind of play the game as it is today, right?
Big time. I think it's going to be a good season. I'm excited.
I am too. We probably still need somebody over 6'10" on the men's side.
Hey, that's what they said about Virginia basketball for a long time, and we won with some small ball. You
did. But
and they went to the Final Four after Sampson left.
Right?
So what you're saying is we have a chance.
I think, big time.
We got a segment on our show during the season called Over and Under Reactions, and I'm already looking at the squad that we have, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're going. Not only are we going to the big dance, but we're gonna make a run. But we got to get some fans on FanStake's to get some big men on the men's side.
Yeah, we do.
Get two big men.
That's where that's just the vantage point I don't necessarily have, other than the quick Google, and I look at the roster. It's like, all right, big man, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I now know, Ben, how to inspire my buddy Chip when he makes these over and under reactions. The wager will be a stake. We have to put something on it. We got to make sure the stakes go up. So before we just had to endure these wild accusations of prognostication. He would say, I know what's going to happen. I said, I know how the money's going to work if you don't get it right. So we're going to put a bet on it. Anytime I lose, I'm putting some money on it.
Hey, players will love it.
There you go.
Hey,
I love it.
Another thing before we go, Ben, I'm giving myself 30 days to make this player Zoom call happen. What is the best way for me to reach out to you?
Just on my email. It's ben@fanstake.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and I could definitely get Andrew to fire these guys up. I mean, he played in the Orange Bowl with Andrew Luck. Like, they're gonna love him.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Okay.
They don't need a JV. Got cut from the JV basketball team in
Ben's gonna be standing in the corner with his phone, just smiling.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ben. You're natural tonight. I would never know you weren't in front of the camera all the time. You seem like this is a comfortable space. So I do think
You guys
Eric
made a
is
very comfortable environment. Seriously.
well. We do what we can, even with Eric on the call. We still do it. I will tell you, Eric, if we can pull that together, man, I'd love for the Bison Brothers basketball group to sponsor that session. So even if it's for all the students, we just want to make sure it's for the kids. We want to do it for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So Chip, man, I know it's getting a little late somewhere. Ben's going to rewind the game. I'm going to try to catch the end of it because I don't watch live sports in a rewind like that. That's why they have Sports Center. So why don't you close this out tonight, man?
Hey, Bison Nation, you've heard the fan stake call to action. You heard what to do. Replay this episode over and over. Tell your other friends and fans to get on FanStake, and let's make Bison Nation grow exponentially. And Bison Nation, we got a call out for you as well. Subscribe. We're trying to raise our subscribers before the season starts. So hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Tell everybody about the podcast. Continue to share the podcast. Continue to support the Howard basketball teams. You can do it now, like we said at the beginning of the show, in so many ways. You can do it at the meccasociety.org. You can do it at hubison.com. And now you can go to FanStake and claim and do your stakes on the players or on the team itself. So Bison Nation, you got the call to action. We're going to end this episode like we end all of our episodes. And Ben, you can get right on in when we do it. You'll hear the call that we do. And we go, H-U.
You know.
Yay, yay.